Morning, 6 o'clock, here are your headlines. Will the Prime Minister put the brakes on banning petrol cars? He's considering watering down climate change pledges, but insists he'll still reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Consultants and junior doctors in England will stage their first joint strike later this morning in an unprecedented moment in the history of the NHS.
From croissants and coffee to petrol and wine, we'll find out how much all sorts of goods and services went up in price when we get the latest inflation figures today. I'm at a coffee shop in Nottingham where I have all the details for you.
In sport this morning, there's a valuable point for Newcastle on their long-awaited Champions League return, whilst the holders, Manchester City, score 3. We'll have news on what was a dreadful night for Celtic as well to come.
The plastic lawn backlash. We'll find out why sales of fake grass are falling. The former Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. The 78-year-old was a prominent figure in London politics for more than 4 decades, from the 1970s. He was elected as the first Mayor of London and held that role for 8 years, from the year 2000. In a statement, his family said he was being well cared for. Now, an ambulance worker who was saved by his patient and a nurse after he suffered a cardiac arrest has thanked them for giving him another chance in life. Sean McBride suddenly collapsed while he was preparing to take 72-year-old Tommy Stewart to hospital. Shenanigans.
Go on.
Shenanigans.
Really? Oh, right, OK, go on.
And as I say the word shenanigans repeatedly, Emma in Leicester is smiling.
Oh, is it her happy word?
It's a happy word. We're going to speak to Susie Dent in a minute about what makes some words happy words. They make us smile, and we've all got different ones. You've been flooding us with these suggestions this morning. I
like the one from Jan, who says that her 2 happy words are Thomas and Oliver. That's her grandchildren's names.
Shameless product placement there by Jan of her grandson's names.
I'm not going to say shameless. Shameless is quite a good word, actually.
Yeah, we'll go through our favourite words in a moment. Right.
Let's have a look at today's front pages, shall we? And many of the papers report that Rishi Sunak is considering scaling back some of the government's commitments on reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Mixed reaction in the papers to that news this morning. The Times says the changes will include scrapping plans to ban new gas boilers from 2035, and that the Prime Minister will argue that the deadline would impose unnecessary costs on households.
Daily Mail welcomes the decision with the headline, "Finally, common sense on net zero," reporting that the Prime Minister is expected to argue that net zero can be achieved through a more pragmatic approach.
Well, The Guardian quotes one senior Conservative who says they think this would be the greatest mistake of Mr Sunak's premiership and could cost jobs and increase energy bills.
Meanwhile, the Daily Mirror leads with comments from the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, who said school children affected by crumbling concrete told her they actually preferred being taught in a porta cabin to a classroom.
21 minutes past 6. This one caught my eye inside, Sally, in the Daily Mirror this morning. A chap called Rob Byrne, who lives in Bishopstoke in Hampshire, who had an 11-foot python in what it calls his conservatory.
Oh, no.
Yeah, apparently he just went into the conservatory and there was this giant snake. He was horrified. He tried to shove it away.
11 feet?
How you shove away an 11-foot python, I'm not sure. But they're not native to the UK. It had escaped from somewhere else. They've managed to catch it and put it in a bag and take it to safety. But can you imagine how terrifying that would be?
Escape from someone's house, maybe?
I don't know.
A zoo?
Maybe.
Who knows? I've got some really bad news for you.
Oh, no.
You ready?
It can't be worse than the python.
Weight loss. If you want to lose weight and keep fit, you have to do early morning workouts and not sit down. Basically, if you sit on a sofa too much in the morning, you're not going to get super fit. Apparently, exercising early in the day, particularly in the window between 7 and 9 o'clock.
OK, so we'll go in 38 minutes' time.
Exactly.
For a run round the block.
Suppose we do have that little break, don't we, when we hand to all the news where you are. We could do like a minute and a half of something.
That's about my limit. Star jumps.
We could do. Apparently, yes. So if you exercise early in the morning, I think what it means is you burn energy through the day.
And you're boosting your metabolism or something
so
like that.
Even if you have an office job where you sit still, it's still better to have done your exercise first thing rather than wait and do your exercise at the end of the day.
But then I want to have a massive breakfast, and that's not good for you, is it?
No.
Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe you burn it off. Story as well in the Daily Telegraph. They've got an interview with Tom Hanks this morning. We associate him being Woody, don't we, in Toy Story? But in fact, he sees himself more as Buzz Lightyear.
Oh.
He wants to go into space for real, not just in the movies like he did in the Apollo movie. And he wants to go into space. He said he'd even do the cooking and the cleaning in some sort of spacecraft.
Tom Hanks can do no wrong. I bet he'll do that, won't he?
Well, he probably could. They've been
space
approaching
tourism.
various celebrities to go to infinity and beyond.
Let's take a look at what's on the front pages this morning. The Times leads with that story on the government's shift on net zero policy. The newspaper calls it a retreat on climate pledges. Rishi hits the brakes on petrol car ban is the headline in the Express. It's the same story on the front page of the Mail, which hails the change on net zero plans as common sense. The Telegraph reports that some MPs are considering writing letters of no confidence in the Prime Minister as he pushes ahead with the plans. While The Guardian says the policy will see the Conservatives attempt to create a dividing line with Labour ahead of the next general election. The Eye says Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer will reject the European Union's master plan and is not interested in the UK rejoining a revamped EU. Away from politics, the Metro has the latest developments in the Russell Brand controversy as the BBC and Channel 4 remove his content from their platforms. He continues to deny any wrongdoing. The Mirror leads on Education Secretary Gillian Keegan's comments about rack in schools and a suggestion that children enjoy studying in porter-cabin classrooms. And The Star has a humorous take on that same story. And if you want to see any of those front pages again or read the stories, scan the QR code on your screen.